I am Charlotte from Delain. We're here in Pittsburgh tonight with Sonata Arctica and Nightwish.
Thank you. Great show. Great set.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we had a really good time.
So I can hear that classical trained jazz. Do you do jazz first or the classical when you're growing up?
The thing is, I had my lessons at a very traditional institution, and they only had two types of singing. You know, classical was called classical,
Right.
and anything but classical was called jazz.
Okay.
So actually the term jazz is probably not the best descriptor for it, but I went from jazz, or what I would call light music or something like that, I went from that to classical music because at one point I only wanted to sing Kate Bush.
Ah, okay.
So I was singing with my non-classical singing instructor, and she said, if you really want to do all that, you know, that really high-pitched stuff, then maybe you will benefit from like classical training because they teach you all the proper techniques as a soprano. And I took her advice on it, and then I switched to classical singing. And this I've done for 2 years, like weekly, not like formal education, just weekly sessions. And this was when I was like 17 or something, and I had just joined this band. And she said, she was wonderful, a really great teacher, but she said, you know, why don't you quit that band of yours and go sing in a choir, because you would be so good at that. And then I thought, okay, our ambitions are different. I'm probably better off just, you know, finding my own way from here. So that's how I got to do both of the things, and neither of them anymore, basically.
So you're a Kate Bush fan, and who else?
Yes. I love everything from, like, my parents used to listen to bands like, well, Kate Bush, obviously, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, the Beatles, of course, who didn't? But I really feel like they gave me a proper music education. Like, they listened to the music that I still enjoy listening to. I still steal their records. So that's.
So you like vinyl?
Yes, definitely. And later on, my brother introduced me to metal, which I loved and still love. And myself, I kind of veer towards more alternative bands as well. And I think that my favorite bands right now, for years, have been Radiohead and Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay.
So it kind of goes everywhere from metal to like really old school stuff. And, yeah.
If you had a chance to perform with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be?
Nick Cave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since he is one of your favorites.
Since he's one of my favorites, and I mean, it's a hard choice between Nick Cave and Tom York. I'm saying that like I have the choice. But I mean, I think that since Nick Cave is in that kind of gothic, I mean, he had some songs that really fit this kind of gothic atmosphere. So I think that would make a nice match.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you started the band, what type of audience did you have?
Well, when we started out, actually our keyboardist, he was the initiator of Delain, and back then it was a project because he was in a band called Within Temptation, and he had to quit at one point because he had health problems.
Gout, wasn't it gout or something similar?
It's like he would get tired like very, very soon.
Okay.
So he couldn't stand up and perform a gig anymore. So that's why we started out as a project. But of course he had been in this band Within Temptation, which was becoming really, really popular back then. So I think the first audience that we attracted was really the audience that would go to their shows as well.
Okay.
So I think that we were really fortunate to, you know, have him with that backstory and already his kind of, you know, the people he knew, and that was, I think that made this kind of kickstart possible that we did. And then it was after we made our debut record that we thought, okay, this is not going to be a project, this is going to be a real band. And that was when we released our first album in 2006, and that is 10 years ago this year. So we will be a decade in music.
And it did chart. at least in Netherlands. And
It hit the charts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it did.
Netherlands, Sweden, not United States.
The Netherlands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like 39, if I remember right.
I think I don't know what record did what, but we had I think we had some top 10 entry level albums. Probably not the first one though. I don't know where that entered. It could be something like that. Yeah.
And after that, you really didn't chart much. A lot of people started listening to you, but nothing really on Billboard charts or anything.
Oh, but then again, I mean, this type of music, I think it was on its high point 3 years before we started.
Yeah.
You know, so we never had the, especially in Holland, because I know that now that we're in the US, we get loads more radio channels doing interviews with us, for example, than in Holland. In Holland, there's really a few really big radio channels, and they're very much pop and dance oriented. So a band like us, we don't get airplay. Like by now, we've been around long enough that we get invited by the channels, and we really appreciate that because we know that we're not their, cup of tea, so to speak. So there is like a really friendly atmosphere, but it's just not mainstream. But that's not a bad thing, because if you look at what I think is more important for like a sustainable career in music, if you look at our fan base, we have a very large, loyal fan base in all parts of the world. And this is something that is really special to me. That, for example, when we play on Dutch festivals, there is bands that had like a hit last summer, and they were on the radio all the time, and you would see them perform for like a handful of people, because by then, the hype had already passed. And they probably have a lot of money on their bank accounts.
Yes.
But it's not like they'll be able to tour for another, And of course, this is probably different I know that there are also bands that had such big hits that they can go their entire career on it.
On the one song.
Exactly.
We won't name any bands, but there are certain bands that can do.
And I mean, that's not even a bad thing. That means that you've written a very good song. So, fair enough.
Or just got that niche that everyone loves.
Exactly.
And the other one's like Freebird. Well.
No, but so I mean, I wouldn't say that because we don't get airplay on mainstream radio.
Well, with the internet now, you probably get more airplay.
Exactly. So I think we got a thing that is worth a lot more, and I also, for me personally, is much more important because I go out to the merch stand after every gig, and meet whoever wants to meet, and it's very nice that this is the fourth time that we're here in the US, and there is already people who I've seen like 4 times earlier, and you'll be greeting each other like friends, and like we already have the comfort of the familiar faces on the front rows.
Okay, good.
And that is an amazing thing to me. Yeah.
So, any food that you like in the U.S. that you?
Well, I must say I'm vegan.
Okay.
And sometimes on tour, because it's hard, I'll settle for vegetarian. And I remember from previous tours that it was very hard to get some proper food, but on this tour the food has been amazing. I went to a nice place called Burgatory.
Where in what city was that?
Right here in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Last night, and they had the most amazing vegan burger, and I honestly think that it was probably my favorite burger of all times, except for the ones I make myself.
Okay, of course.
So yeah, actually so far, like the food has been very, very good. Yeah, but sometimes it can be a challenge when you don't eat meat, when you're trying not to eat cheese.
And trying to stay healthy on tour.
We try to stay healthy. Well, I do yoga every day, so that kind of helps.
That's good. And a couple other questions, and then you can go back to your fans.
Well, it's a special week for us now because we just released the Lunar Prelude.
Right, it came out the 16th,
EP.
I think.
Was it? I think the 20.
The single came out 16th,
And then the EP came, beginning of this tour. Actually, the first day of this tour, the EP came out, which was no coincidence, of course. But
yes, of course.
But it's it's a special week. Because of that, we're getting the first responses to it. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the nice words.
I mean, you sound great out there. I mean, like.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I mean, we're really enjoying playing the new songs, and we also can't wait until we have the full new album later this year.
When you think that'd be full album done?
I think halfway the year, leaning towards the end of summer.
Okay, so July. So any big fests planned?
So many. We're doing Download. We're doing Hellfest. We're doing a lot of festivals this year. House Pop. It's going to be a big year for us festival-wise, for sure.
You guys sound great.
Thank you.
So, in closing,
Yes.
in 5 to 10 years, where do you see your band going?
I hope that we can continue to build on what we're doing right now in the US. I hope that by then we'll be doing headline tours as well, because the one thing that people in the US complain about is like, I've seen you 4 times but I've never seen you playing longer than 40 minutes. And I can imagine, you know, some people drive for hours and hours, and of course they come to see the headliner too.
Right.
But I would be very happy if I can give people like the full set and like full experience. Because our choice of songs is different when we do something like this, because you have to just step on the gas, and it's not like you could do the more introverted songs. And I want to be able to kind of play our full range of, you know, different tracks. So I hope that by then we'll be doing headline tours over here and kind of, you know, expanding where we tour in general. That we have some cool new albums out. That. You know, I just want to continue doing what we do, and it would be good if we're all able to live from it, like without too much worries, because that's always in the music industry. If you're not one of the biggest bands, it's financially always a challenge.
Yes.
So yeah, I just hope that we can continue to do what we do and keep on. You know, we're in a very positive flow right now, and everything looks. Just want to go upwards and onwards from here on.
Any chance to put some jazz in?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That's in the past.
You should try though. One song to see how.
Just as a side thing.
Yeah, side project.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, it's been nice talking to you. Thank you very
So
much.
to you.
Great tour to you, and I know it's going to do great.
Thank you.